सतनाम श्री वाहिगुरु साहिब जीओ। टोडी महला पंजवा। हर बिसरत सदा खुआरी। ताको धोखा कहाँ बियापै। जाको ओट तुहारी। rehaao हर बिसरत सदा खुआरी। ताको धोखा कहाँ बियापै। जाको ओट तुहारी। rehaao बिन सिमरन जो जीवन बलना। सर्प जैसे अर जारी। नवखंडन को राज कमावै। अंत चले गोहारी। गुण निदान गुण तिन्ही गाए। जाको कृपा तारी। सो सुखिया धन उस जन्मा। नानक तिस बलिहारी। गुण निदान गुण तिन्ही गाए। जाको कृपा तारी। सो सुखिया तन उस जन्मा। नानक तिस बलिहारी। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। गुरु की प्यारी गुरु की साजी नवाजी गुरु रूप साध संगत जी। आपां धन हाँ। We're blessed to be sitting in Tan Shri Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj Ji's warm lap in the sanctuary, where even the worst and the worst of sinners are blessed. Those that did not even see any compassion through their eyes, those that only saw themselves to be all powerful, even they were humbled in this darbar. When we do karmas inside of our life, do actions, sometimes we think before doing them, and sometimes we think or regret after doing them. प्यारियो एक गल याद रखियो, कदे भी इनकार ना करियो कि ये पाप जो मैं करन लगा ये किते किसी नूं दिस नहीं रहा. Don't ever think that the action or the paap that you're about to do, that it's never going to be seen by anybody. You can sit, and we can sit in this darbar and hear, yes, maybe the person beside you does not know what's going on in your mind. But ek gal yaad rakhiyo, there probably isn't a single person sitting in this darbar who will be willing to have every thought that they've thought of since the moment that they arrived at this campsite, every thought being written out and printed and written on the screen for everyone to read. Every thought that crosses our mind and every action that we do, pyareo uda lekha likhya janda. But in amongst these thoughts and actions that we take, many times we forget Parmatma. Sache Pacha in this Hukamnaama, in Rag Todi, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Sache Pacha gives us this hukum कि हर बिसरत सदा खुआरी. When you forget Parmatma, consider yourself ruined. There is no way out. There is no way that you could say, I can make up for it. Tusi khuaar ho gaye, you're finished. It's like a company that goes bankrupt. Tanko dhokhaa, kahaa biaapai, jako ot tuhaaree. But there is one way. When we take the sharan and we take the support of Parmatma, the only reason we forget Parmatma, we forget Akal Purkh, is when we place hopes and support in something that's not going to be there forever. We do this in our life on a regular basis, and this is why we suffer. We take all of the weight that we have and we lean up against something. When we lean up against something that's not going to be there forever, then when that thing is gone, we scramble. We suffer just like a fish without water. You place all of your hopes on your education, that this will give me a bright future. Guess what? You don't get a job, you get fired. You place all of your hopes on your family, that this person will be there to support me forever. And guess what? When they're not there, that day comes, and you were expecting that day. You know that day will come for everyone. But when that moment comes, you didn't realize that you had put all your support there. And now when that support is not there, your table has fallen to one side. You scramble, you try to grab things. But that Gursikh, that Mahan being that places their support in Parmatma, that foundation is thir, unwavering. They never waver in life. No matter if their body is cut into pieces, anything else from their life can be removed. But they are always in a state of Anand, the state of peace. Har bisrat, sadaa khuaaree. In other ways, you will constantly be ruined. Let's look at what are we doing when we're committing a paap, when we make a mistake. When we make mistakes, something that's against the niyam of Parmatma, against the laws of Akal Purkh, we are engulfing ourselves inside of more agyan, in ignorance. We chase after this action or some sort of sukh in order to attain peace, yet we don't realize what we're doing. It's like a diabetic chasing more and more sugar. It's like an alcoholic chasing more and more alcohol. You get engrossed in it. You get lost in it. And therefore you don't even realize that what action that we're about to do, it's not for our benefit. We are the form of peace. We are the form of true Anand. We don't need to go anywhere else for it. We search externally through 5 senses. You look at the world, guess what? You watch movies and you say, this will find me, give me Anand. Par nahi. You listen to your own praise, you listen to your own slander, this will give me Anand. Par nahi. Then it doesn't do that either. You live your life based on affirmations that people give you. Somebody comes up to you, they slander you. Guess what? We're living in the past based on their words now. And now we're dukhi. We react to it and we commit a paap. In that moment, we're all living within our own actions. Because you've done an action, you're living within your own bal. Your conversation with somebody else, inside of all of this ignorance that you've built, har bisrat sadaa khuaaree. You've forgotten Parmatma. You've forgotten your true form. Parmatma da sacha swarup is Anand, complete bliss. You are that form, you are omnipresent, yet you've forgotten that. You've confined yourself to just a 5 elemental body. Sache Pancha says that's pitiful. Taan karke pyareo, expand beyond just these 5 elements. Don't limit yourself and don't limit Guru Sahib to just these 5 elements. Many times we forget that Akal Purkh, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Sache Pacha, they weren't just the 1469 Guru Nanak Dev Ji. We confine ourselves, our minds to the realms of time, our past, present, and future. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Sache Pacha, Yes, their 5 elemental body was born in 1469. There are 2 ways to connect to that root. Through the physical and through the non-physical, sargun and nirgun. You read, you write, you study, you do abhyas, you do kirtan. You search in this world, you find sadhuan di sangat. This is all physical. Yes, you begin from the physical. You dive deeper. But there is a way to travel through your surti, through the realms of time, and break the shackles of time. You sitting here through your surti, you can travel from here to something that happened 10 years ago. You can, because your memory just goes there right away. You can sit here and you can travel to a place where you're not sitting right now. You can sit here and through closing your eyes, you can take your surti, your focus, your consciousness to Darbar Sahib, to your house. It can go to some place which we forbid not say here. But there is a way that when you connect through Parmatma, you connect to your true self that is beyond time and beyond space. You're constantly living in that remembrance, and through that bliss, you can be in that place of 1469. You can travel to that place that you are not sitting in right now. But when you confine yourself to just this body of yours and your own little surti, then you confine yourself to the ignorance. And that's why har bisrat, sadaa khuaaree. But if you recognize that, then you don't need to place your hopes in anything else. Jako or tuhaaree. Imagine this. Somebody that's sitting at the back of this darbar, they can see the people in the front. They can see Guru Sahib's Swaroop, and they might be able to see myself. But the person sitting at the front of this darbar, they cannot see what's behind them. They can only see what's in front. In that same way, your hand cannot see your mind. Your hand can only see what's forward. In the same way, you only see what's forward. In the same way, your mind cannot look back at what you truly are, your form of bliss, what you should be truly placing your hopes on. There is that veil of ignorance that's not allowing us to reach that. When you look out into this world, when you see that Parmatma residing in each and every form, Net ned bantran kehte, Tuvai saram naam katha kavan karm naam barnat sumad. Net pyareo is when we cut everything in this world and we say, is this tree, is this roof, is the person standing in front of me, is this true or is it false? Is it something that I should be able to place my hopes on, or is it the illusion of the form? Vidwana ne aakhya siga that is there a possibility that something true, something so pure can be right in front of you and be hidden at the same time. Gupt and Pargat at the same time. We all said, how is that possible? How can something be hidden and be visible at the same time? They pulled out their kada and they said, what is this? We all looked at it and we said, it's a kada. Kadaya. And they said, no, it's not a kada. Why are you lying? It's metal. And we said, yeah, that's true, it is metal. It's not a kada, it's metal. But visibly it's in the form of a kada. In the same way, Parmatma is in the form of this physical world that you see. You are in the physical form of this body of yours, but Parmatma, in its true essence, it's taken that form. We call that physical form Ishwar. We call it Sargun Parmatma. We call it creation. We call it Maya. But when you fall under the illusion of it, har bisrat, sadaa khuaaree. But that person that is able to recognize that, they can never be falling under that illusion. That's why here Sache Pacha, they say, Bin simran jo jeevan balna, sarp jaise arjari. Some people say that I'll go and connect to Parmatma later. If I had 1,000 years to live, wow, imagine how much Gurbani I can memorize then. But we waste our time constantly. Har bisrat, sadaa khuaaree. Every moment, every breath that leaves our body, we have no idea if it's going to come back in. Just like a snake. It struggles. And the longer it lives, the more that poison inside of it, it makes it burn. That's why when you look at snakes, they love laying in very dark, cold places. If you lay out milk, this is how a snake hunter catches milk or catches a snake. They lay out cold milk and the snake will come to drink that milk. And this is how the hunter captures it, because the milk is known to be cold. We are burning inside of our own anguish, inside of our own mind. We try to find that thand, that coolness, that sahaj. But when we're constantly pondering about kabhoon jira oob chadat hai, kabhoon jaye pyale, lobi jira thir na rahat hai, chare kunda pale. We're constantly placing our hopes in something that is wavering. Our mind that we're looking through, our mind is constantly wavering, and you've fallen under this illusion that you are your mind. You've forgotten your true form, Parmatma, har bisrat, sadaa khuaaree. You've been ruined because of that. And you burn in this way. Nav khandan ko raj kamave, ant chale go hari. You can become the greatest of kings. You can attain all of the pleasures. Je jug chare arja, hord suni hoye. Nama khanda vich janiya naal chale sab koe. Changa na ho rakhaye keh, jas kirat jag le. Je tis nadar na aave, तवात ना पूछे के जे 1 लाख स्त्रियां भोग करे नवखंड राज कमाहे बिन सतगुर सुख न पवई फिर जोनी पाहे. You can become the greatest of kings. Even in Vishnu Puran, with just a small example, there was a king, Sahansar, who he captured all of these lands. His wife's sister was married to a rishi living in the jungles. And living in this jungles, when the king traveled with his entire army, he came to meet his Sandhu, his rishtedar. The rishi got up, embraced him like a relative embraces a guest that comes over. But the king, with his arrogance and anger, he said, "Who are you to greet such a large army like mine? Who are you to offer us food? You can't offer a great army like mine." And Pyareo, this king ruled these lands for 85,000 years. You're talking about 100 years, 5 years, 10 years. You're talking about a small amount of time. No, 85,000 years he ruled that land. Nav khandan ko raj kamave. You can rule all 9 continents. You can do 9 worlds. You can control all of the worlds. But that arrogance, he wasn't able to recognize. The rishi said, "You come into my temple. I will serve you. You do not underestimate the power." Because we rishis, we have sadhanas. We have riddhiyan siddhiyan. We have powers that you won't be able to understand. The king arrives. He was shocked by the words that he said. He arrives to his temple. And when he sits down, there is many, 36 varieties of food laid out in front. He eats the food and he's never tasted food this sweet before. And when he goes and travels and he talks to the rishi, he said, "How did you create such food in such a small amount of time and alone? Who is the person that made this food? I've never tasted it so sweet." He goes to the back kitchen to see where the food is being made. How did they make it? And the rishi said, there are 4 things which you always want to keep hidden from the world. Bhojan, bhajan, khajana, nari. These 4 things that you want to keep hidden from the world. Your own bhajan, your own abhyas. You go and plunder to the world that I've done this many sukhnis, I've done this much nitnem. You can tell the world all you want, but andaron tusi khali reh jaoge, because maybe you end up speaking falsely. Your bhajan you keep secret. Bhojan, the food, how it's made, the recipe. This is, you ask any chef, they'll say, "Nahi, assi tenu dasna nahi, we're not going to tell you." Khajana, your finances. This is not something that you release to the world. How much money is in your bank account? You don't walk into your relative's house, "By the way, this is my bank statement from today." You don't say that. And nari, what you do with your spouse, you don't exploit that. Your relationship that you have, you don't exploit that in front of the world. If you do, it loses value. The rishi says you cannot see how we're making this food. It's forbidden. He forcefully goes, lifts the curtains, and he sees a cow there. Cat, he says, through the blessings, because that was their belief at that time. Through the blessings of this cow, this is how you make this food. I'm going to steal your cow. The Rikhi says, no, you cannot take it. Forcefully, he attacks the Rikhi. He gathers many Rikhis around. They use their sadhanas, the powers. They gather a large army and defeat that king. The point being, the arrogance and the ignorance of that king. The amount of power that he had. 85,000 years. When he left the world, he left with absolutely nothing. Nav khandan ko raj kamave ant chalego hari. Completely lost, and when he traveled to that place, his face was blackened. Gun nidan gun tin hi gaye, jako kirpa tari sache pacha. We are ignorant beings, we are lost. Sache pacha bless us in this way. So sukhiya tan us janma nanak. Tis balahari, blessed is that person who is able to understand that through this physical world, that true sukh is not found. Taan karke, before samapti, let me tell you this one last thing. When you try to find that true sukh, to break this ignorance, there are a few things that need to come together for that. Number one, you need a purabla karma. A great being, a great karma, an action that you do. If you do the karmas of pap, har bisrat sadaa khuaaree, even if you feel that while you're doing that pap, it's not going to affect me right now. It will later on in the future. It will 5 years, 10 years. It will become pargar, that pap that you do. That's why, pyareo, daro. Always keep fear, loving fear for Guru in your mind. The karma that you do when a great karma emerges, that is one thing. The next thing is when your ignorance is very, very thin. That's why we focus on seva and simran. Remove the wavering of your mind. When you get sadhu and the sangat, you sit in the sanctuary of saints and you embrace that love of Akal Purkh. You are not under the influence of vices. And then on top of all of these things, you have Guru Sahib's kirpa. You have the blessings of an avatar form of Akal Purkh in the form of Satguru. When you have all of these things come together, the sound of Akal Purkh will hit you in such a way, it will shatter all your ignorance, and you will be that person. So sukhiya, tan us janma, your living, your existence will be blessed. Nanak tis balhari, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji Sache Pacha says, I sacrifice for myself for that person. First, Maharaj saying that that person khuaar ho gaya, ruined absolutely nothing. But if you attain that state, Sache Pacha says, Nanak tis balhari Sache Pacha, bless us all so that we can do sangat of great Gursikhs like that. And so we can become that form as well. Pyareo, in Rag to Di Guru Arjan Dev Ji Sache Pacha blessed us with this Hukamnaama. So while doing vichar, while talking, I've made many, many mistakes. If I've hurt anybody's heart, or if I've said anything wrong, please, Guru Roop Sad Sangat Ji, have it in your heart to forgive me. Sari Sangat Gaj Vaj Ki Fateh Balao Ji. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.